that, we got the raised bed potting mix, the Worm Gold Plus, Patio Plus,
Sir.
BioLive.
Sir! General, what are you doing, sir?
Oh, me? I'm just gonna make up some living no-till soil for the 15-gallon pot. You know, I'm gonna start a bunch of 15-gallon pots this season, so I got all the stuff here to do it.
Oh, sir, do you mind if I stay and watch? Nah, I don't mind. You can learn a thing or two. And you are a soldier in my gnome army, and you need to know all there is to know about growing great cannabis. Awesome, sir. I'll be sure to take notes. Hey, sir, you mind if I watch too? No problem, buddy. Alright, so what I got here is all the building blocks for my living no-till soil. Start with just a crappy raised bed potting mix. It does have some dry amendments put into it. It's a little dense, so that's why we got to amend it up. Same here with this lower grade outdoor potting mix, little dense. We'll lighten it up with some perlite, vermiculite, and some sphagnum peat moss. Don't be afraid of commercial grade garden sphagnum peat moss being acidic. Most of it is fairly neutral, so don't even worry about that. Of course, if you want, test your soil pH. I also will be putting in a little bit higher grade, I would consider it a medium grade potting mix. That's good for indoor and outdoor. All of this stuff has some nutrients in it, as it says, but we'll have to amp it up a little bit for what we'll be growing. And we'll put in some down-to-earth BioLive, great dry amendment with some beneficial microbes in it. We'll be putting in some azomite for some trace minerals. We'll bump up the magnesium and sulfur level a little bit with some Epsom salts. And then you can never forget your black gold, your worm castings. Yes, it's all about the worm castings, my friends. And then I'll be putting in some worms as well. So let's go ahead and mix all this stuff up, and we're going to get a really good mix. I'll explain everything that I'm putting in and why. So let's get to it, guys. So what we'll be filling eventually is this 15-gallon container right here. So this living no-till soil is specifically meant for a container, a 15-gallon container. I also will be putting in a little bit of my own pre-made compost. The first thing that we're going to start with is the raised bed potting mix. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab that bag, and we're just gonna pour it out over this cardboard right here. The reason I've set down cardboard is so I will know exactly where my soil lies and it won't get mixed in with anything else, and it'll be really easy to pick up all of it. So what I'll start with is Kellogg's raised bed and potting mix. It is good for outdoor containers as well. It's basically just for big raised beds. However, it's, like I say, kind of dense, so it needs to be fluffed up basically, and it does have some nutrients in it, but it's cheap, so they skimp on the nutrients, so that's why you want to put in more. And the reason I use this is it works as a base compost that the plants can grow in. It's got lots of dense nutrients in it. It's pretty good stuff. The main problem with it is just the fact that it doesn't have enough nutrient value in it, and the fact that because it's cheap,
they skimp on the perlite and other things that can help loosen the soil up. Now I'm going to be making a lot of living no-till soil here because I'll be filling more than just the one container. So I'm just going to show you how I make a lot of super soil, as some people like to call it. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and throw some vermiculite in it. This will be our vermiculite, and this acts to retain moisture as well as a little bit of loosening up the denseness. I'm going to put about half the bag in this pile right here because we will be mixing this all up and we want it to mix evenly in. Now what I'm going to want to do is grab my bag of worm castings, and we'll put a good amount of this bag here. We'll probably put about a quarter of the bag. So we'll do about 1/8 here of the bag, and then we'll do another 1/8 when we add some more vermiculite and perlite. The next thing I'm going to do is grab my bag of perlite, and this helps, the perlite helps to add air and aeration to the soil. And you definitely want some air and aeration on your soil. Now that I've got a decent amount of material in here, I'm just going to kind of massage this in. Make sure you put gloves on. Massage this in a little bit just so it mixes in a little bit before we add anything more to it. Alright, let's go ahead and add some perlite here now. Give us a little channel, make a little volcano, make it easier there. So there's your perlite. And this particular brand puts a little bit of nutrient or fertilizer in it, which I'd rather they didn't, but not that big a deal. It's not enough to really matter anyway. So we got our perlite in there. Now we're gonna grab some medium grade potting mix, and we're using Dr. Earth's all-purpose. It does have nutrients in it as well, but I like my own nutrients, so we'll put more in, and I'll put about a half a bag in there. That's good. Now I'm gonna throw a little BioLive into the mix so it's right in the center and easier to mix in. Like I say, this does have some of its own in there, so what I'll do is I'll just take a good handful, just sprinkle that all throughout there, get it deep in there. Then we will grab some azomite, do the same. Yet again, just a good handful. Get that all mixed up in there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of this sphagnum peat moss, and this is going to really air it up, help with water retention, help, it actually helps mediate the water too. So it's kind of dry, so you want to break it up. It'll help like keep the moisture at just the right level. That's why I like to put the sphagnum peat moss in here. Put that out of the way. And you want to do, a good like maybe, you can go as high as like 25% of this as sphagnum peat moss, because you want to not have too terribly much of that broken down forest product. It helps to minimize that, which can build fungus. And then all of these products I'm using, the potting soil products, have mycorrhizal fungi already in them. So I will not be putting any extra mycorrhizal fungi. You can get this sphagnum peat moss at Home Depot, and I just have to break it up. And this is what really helps to alleviate the denseness within that cheaper soil. Now, I'm going to take some of my own lovely homemade compost here and put that into the pile. And I want to put lots of this in here because this already has beneficial microbes in it. This has worms already in it. This has roots in it. See, there you go, worms right there, like I say. Yeah, this has roots in it, which the beneficial microbes and the worms need. I'll put like a nice, healthy amount of this in here. We'll say a good 10% is what we want of that. And that's good compost that's been sitting for a while and just getting better and better with age. Now, I'm going to add to the potting mix a little bit with some of this far from premium, actually, potting mix. You can make this premium though with that sphagnum peat moss and a little bit of perlite. Now we'll go ahead and add some more worm castings. Another nice handful here of azomite. Then another nice little handful of BioLive. There you go. Now I'm going to pour the rest of this perlite in here. We'll make a volcano. Put the rest of this perlite in here. And on top of that, we'll make another little volcano and throw the rest of the vermiculite in. And we'll throw the rest of the medium grade. Now we'll throw some Epsom salt in here for a little magnesium. Same thing, just a handful, shake it around, mix it into the middle. And I'll put another little bit into the middle there. Just gotta mix it together now. So what I'm gonna do is kind of break down these little bits of sphagnum peat moss, and now I'm gonna go grab my garden fork and I'm gonna turn this with my garden fork. Here's my garden fork, and I'm just gonna kind of go up from the bottom and bring up to the top, and this will help bring out those pieces of sphagnum peat moss that need to be broken up still, as well as bring the bottom junk stuff through the top good stuff. Mix it really good and break up the denseness of the cheap potting mix. You can already notice how fluffy it's starting to get. Well, that, boys and girls, is how the Happy Cultivator makes his living no-till soil. It needs to be watered to moisten it up. I will fill the buckets, then I'll let those soak for a little bit so the soil gets nice and moist before I plant anything into it. And then I'll add some cover crop and some worms. But we're pretty much ready to go here. This is what does it for me. If you notice, I didn't add any extra mycorrhizal fungi, whatever you want to call it. It's because most of this soil already had it in it, so it's unnecessary. And I have it growing naturally within most of my systems. With that, I'll get this into the container and show you guys later on down the road how this worked out. And I think you guys will be pleased with the results, and I'll be pleased with the results as well. Like I always say, keep happy, stay stoned, and urban garden, guys.